Hello, and welcome to the K.B-TV channel for episode 3, all about beekeeping practices. Have you ever pondered over what we can learn from bees and their keeper? In the intricate dance of nature, few relationships are as symbiotic and profound as that between a beekeeper and their buzzing charges. This dynamic isn't just about honey production or pollination, it's emblematic of a deeper spiritual connection that mirrors our relationship with the divine. Consider this. In the grand design of life, we can see God as the beekeeper, humans as his bees, and the earth as his hive. This analogy isn't merely poetic. It's a paradigm that offers profound insights into our own lives and common human struggles. Resentment, bitterness, regret, and discontentment. These are emotions we've all grappled with. However, by examining the world of bees and beekeeping, we can glean wisdom to navigate these challenges. The beekeeper embodies patience and understanding, managing the hive and attending to the colony's needs. It's a practice that requires empathy and reconciliation, much like how we are called to resolve our resentments and foster forgiveness, echoing biblical teachings found in Ephesians and Colossians. Beekeepers also teach us about the toxic effects of bitterness. Their work demands a positive attitude and a readiness to learn from setbacks. This resilience mirrors biblical principles of endurance in adversity, as outlined in the book of James and Romans. Regret, a product of past mistakes and missed opportunities, is another struggle we can explore through the lens of beekeeping. With their focus on learning from failures and adapting to change, beekeepers embody resilience and personal growth. This reflects biblical narratives of redemption and renewal, encouraging us to adopt a forward-looking perspective. The pervasive sense of discontentment that many of us experience can be addressed by observing a beekeeper's deep satisfaction in nurturing their colonies. This contentment, derived from a connection to nature and the Creator, encourages us to find joy and peace in God's provision, as taught in the books of Philippians and Hebrews. Let's dive deeper into this fascinating world and see what it reveals about our own struggles. This journey through the world of bees and beekeeping, underpinned by biblical principles, offers us practical insights and spiritual reflections on overcoming life's common struggles. After all, the attitude and well-being of the beekeeper will either make or destroy a hive. But first, let's look at the basic key roles and responsibilities of a beekeeper. Hive management, assembling and maintaining beehives, introducing wild swarms into hives and performing regular hive inspections to monitor the health and productivity of the colonies. Honey and hive product harvesting, collecting honey, beeswax, pollen, propolis and royal jelly from the hives and processing these products for sale. Pest and disease, control, identifying and treating any pests or diseases affecting the bee colonies such as mites, viruses or bacterial infections. Queen breeding. Some specialized beekeepers focus on breeding and raising high-quality queen bees to sell to other beekeepers. Pollination services. Providing pollination services to farmers by strategically placing beehives in crop fields during flowering seasons. Education and outreach. Sharing knowledge about beekeeping and promoting awareness about the importance of bees and other pollinators. Regulatory compliance. Adhering to local laws and regulations regarding beekeeping, such as registering hives and following guidelines for hive placement and management. Record keeping, maintaining detailed records of hive populations, honey production, breeding, and other key metrics to inform management decisions. The role of a beekeeper often comes with making mistakes and learning from them without being resentful. Resentment, like a hive left unattended, can grow unchecked, causing chaos in our lives. Unlike the honeybee, we humans often harbor resentment, a feeling that typically stems from perceived injustice, unfair treatment, or unresolved conflicts. This emotion, if not addressed, can multiply and spiral, creating a hive of negative energy that impedes our growth and happiness. In the world of beekeeping, hive management and colony maintenance require a deep understanding of the bees, their needs, and their behaviors. Similarly, resolving our resentment calls for patience, empathy, and a profound understanding of our own feelings and the situations that triggered them. Consider the beekeeper, who must sometimes rehome a colony, a process that can be stressful for the bees. Yet this is done with utmost care, ensuring minimal distress to the bees. This mirrors the biblical teachings of Ephesians, which encourages us to let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamour and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. Much like the beekeeper who nurtures the colony, understanding and addressing the root cause of our resentment can lead to reconciliation and healing. It encourages us to replace bitterness with kindness, wrath with understanding, and resentment with forgiveness. The beekeeper's approach to hive management also aligns with the teachings in Colossians, which urges us to bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. This, in essence, is a call to let go of our grudges, forgive those who have wronged us, and most importantly, forgive ourselves. In the grand scheme of life, resentment is but a small obstacle that tests our ability to empathize, forgive, and grow. Just as a beekeeper addresses the needs of the hive with patience and understanding, we can learn to manage our feelings of resentment. And in doing so, we not only find peace, but also a sweeter existence, much like the honey that bees tirelessly produce. Bitterness, much like a bee's sting, can leave a lasting impact. A bee's sting, though small, can cause great discomfort and sometimes even severe reactions. Bitterness in the same way can poison our relationships and hinder our personal growth, turning our hearts into a hive of negativity. In the world of beekeeping, a beekeeper cannot afford to harbour bitterness. When faced with the challenges that beekeeping brings, such as a colony collapse or a poor honey harvest, a beekeeper must approach these setbacks with a positive attitude and a willingness to learn. They understand that the health and productivity of their hive depend on their ability to adapt and persevere. This principle mirrors the biblical teachings of endurance and steadfastness in the face of adversity. In the book of James, we read, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." Similarly, in Romans, we are encouraged to be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. These verses remind us that challenges, much like a bee's sting, are not meant to defeat us but to strengthen us. They teach us resilience, the art of bouncing back from adversity stronger and more determined. Resilience in the life of a beekeeper is about learning from setbacks, adjusting practices, and continuing to care for the hive with patience and dedication. But how do we apply this in our lives? First, we must recognize the bitterness that resides within us. Acknowledge its presence, but do not let it define you. Just as a beekeeper doesn't abandon their hive after a sting, we shouldn't abandon our hope due to bitterness. Instead, we should learn from our experiences, adapt our attitudes, and continue to nurture our relationships with patience and understanding. By doing so, we can transform our bitterness into resilience, turning our stings into stories of strength. Just like the beekeeper, we can learn to view our challenges not as setbacks, but as opportunities for growth and learning. As a beekeeper learns from setbacks, so can we transform our bitterness into resilience. Regret can entrap us in the past, much like bees trapped in an old, dysfunctional hive. Regret is a universal experience, an emotional sting that lingers long after the events that led to it have passed. It's a feeling that can hold us back, trapping us in the memories of our past mistakes, missed opportunities, and unfulfilled expectations. We become like bees ensnared in a hive that no longer serves their needs, hindered from moving forward and reaching their full potential. In the world of beekeeping, however, there's a profound lesson to be learned. Beekeepers understand that failures are part and parcel of the process. Sometimes, despite their best efforts, a hive may fail to thrive, or a queen bee may not fulfill her role effectively. But instead of dwelling on these setbacks, beekeepers learn from them. They adapt their strategies, adjust their techniques, and press on, always with the goal of creating a more thriving, productive hive. This practice mirrors a powerful biblical narrative of redemption and renewal. Consider the Apostle Paul's words in Philippians chapter 3, verses 13 and 14, where he talks about forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead. This perspective encourages us to view our past not as a prison, but as a teacher. Our mistakes, our failures, they're not meant to entrap us. Instead, they are stepping stones to growth, opportunities to learn, adapt, and become better versions of ourselves. Perhaps you're burdened by regret, feeling stuck in your old dysfunctional hive. But remember, just as the beekeeper doesn't abandon a failed hive, but learns from it to build a better one, so too can we learn from our past. Our regrets don't have to define us. Instead, they can refine us, helping us to grow, change, and move forward with greater wisdom and resilience. Like a beekeeper adapting to changing circumstances, we can learn to move beyond our regrets. Discontentment can leave us restless, much like a hive that's constantly seeking a new home. It's a feeling that can be as pervasive as the buzz of bees in a disturbed hive, a constant background noise that prevents us from experiencing true peace and satisfaction. Discontentment often stems from a ceaseless comparison with others and a relentless pursuit of external validation and material possessions. It's like a bee that's forever flitting from flower to flower, never satisfied with the nectar it has, always seeking something sweeter, richer. In contrast, consider the beekeeper. There's a deep sense of fulfillment derived from the work they do, a satisfaction that comes not from accumulation but from nurturing. Every day they tend to their bees, understanding their needs, ensuring their health, and fostering a harmonious environment within the hive. It's a role that requires patience and commitment, but it also brings a unique kind of joy, a connection to nature and the rhythm of life that's both grounding and uplifting. This contentment found in beekeeping echoes the biblical teachings on finding joy and peace in God's provision. In the book of Philippians, we're encouraged to be content in every situation, to find joy not in what we have or what we can acquire, but in the love and grace of God. In Hebrews, we're reminded to keep our lives free from the love of money and be content with what we have. For God has said, "Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you." So what can we learn from the beekeeper? Perhaps it's that true contentment comes not from constant seeking, but from appreciating what we already have. From understanding that our worth is not defined by our possessions, but by our character and our actions. And from recognizing that we are part of a larger whole, a world teeming with life and beauty, and our role is not to dominate or accumulate, but to nurture and sustain. Just as a beekeeper finds fulfillment in caring for the hive, we can cultivate gratitude and contentment in our lives because of what Christ did for us on the cross, so that we may know our Father and have the opportunity to learn how we can imitate Jesus Christ, who is our beekeeper. Our world, much like us, is fractured and incapable of self-repair. We often deceive ourselves into believing we are self-sufficient, capable of being our own saviors. This illusion of autonomy leads us away from the truth that, without God, our efforts to mend our lives and the world fall short. Our limited understanding and arrogance blind us to the complexity and intricacy of creation, which unmistakably points to a divine designer. Nature, in all its wonder, serves as a testament to God's providence and wisdom, urging us to acknowledge our need for Him. Bees, in their diligence and order, reflect biblical truths that God is always with us, and our ultimate purpose is to seek Him. This pursuit is not in vain, for as Scripture assures us, for everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks the door will be opened. Matthew 7:8. This promise reinforces the idea that in our seeking, we are not alone. God awaits, ready to reveal Himself and guide us back to wholeness. In embracing this journey, we acknowledge our limitations and turn to the one who is capable of restoring us and the world. Through the lens of faith, we see how much we resemble the bees, each with a role, each dependent on the keeper, and each vital to the hive's success. As we align our lives with Christ, our divine beekeeper, we learn the beauty of dependence on God, finding our strength, purpose, and fulfillment in His unending grace. In the wisdom of the hive, we find a reflection of our own journey with God. Just as bees flourish under the care of the beekeeper, we too are called to thrive under the guidance of Christ, our divine beekeeper. As we navigate the complexities of a broken world, Let us remember our need for God's guiding hand and the promise that in seeking Him, we find the path to true fulfillment and restoration. With hearts open to His grace, let us move forward, inspired by the lessons of nature and the certainty of God's love and purpose for us. For everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks the door will be opened. Matthew 7:8. In this journey of faith, may we find the courage to seek, the strength to ask, and the humility to knock, trusting in the boundless grace of our Creator. To those who don't believe, and to those on a path of inquiry, unsure of where faith fits into the vast puzzle of existence, either way, consider the humble bee and its role within the hive. This small creature, vital to the fabric of life, reflects a larger, intricate design at play, a design that speaks to an underlying order and purpose in the universe. In exploring the wonders of nature and the complexities of life, we're invited to ponder deeper questions about our own existence and purpose. The journey of the bee, guided by unseen forces towards the betterment of its community, mirrors our own search for meaning and connection in a world that often feels fragmented and self-driven. Please join us again for the next installment, episode 4, as we explore honeybee research. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you, and goodbye.